So, what is the real driver behind the gold move? I mean, is it the fear or the central banks are buying gold and hence gold is moving up? What is your stance on gold and silver?
See, gold is a very interesting story when it comes to India. And I always am fascinated with gold and the behavior Indians have towards gold. That when you look at gold, it's a commodity, it's driven by demand and supply. Actually, gold has no industrial use. Silver has, right? Technically speaking, if I say this, people will shout at me, but gold is a useless metal.
I want to learn about the Korean culture. I mean, Korea is taken at my home just in the context of K dramas. My daughter loves that.
Yeah.
But you see the real
Yes.
Korean culture, and
I'm
you've
Korean.
seen, yeah, half Korean now, and you've seen and you know the Indian culture. So how is it different, and what can we learn from them, and what is better in our culture?
It is incredible how similar we are.
You were somebody who were working right with the NFDs at a very starting level, and then you ended up becoming national head and then a CEO and now a vice chairman. I mean, I've been told that there are only 7 vice chairmen in Mirae, which is like a $650 billion asset manager, and you are the first Indian to become a vice chairman there.
When I got a message from our ambassador from Korea, congratulations, then I understood the enormity of it. At the end of the day, nothing changes at the work front. Yeah. But at one point of time, Fine Plus went up to a premium of 20.3% because global investing is stopped in India.
Yeah.
And we wrote out a message saying that it's trading at premium, don't buy. The reply from the young Indian said, okay, inform us that it's trading at premium. Who are you to tell us not to buy? And that's when I got the message, right? That there are enough people who have knowledge of this. And the only thing that probably I thought at the beginning of my life was, I definitely know I'm not the smartest person on earth, but I can guarantee anybody I can work harder than anybody in this market. My professor had told me, change is the only constant, but then he had added, there is a possibility that the word change might change. Right? It is that bad. We say Mera Bharat Mahan. They will say make America great. It's nothing wrong. But it's a business of trust. I can fool you once. If I fool you the second time, it's not my fault. But people don't give you a second time in our industry because it's money. And nobody forgives you on money. Absolute clarity on what they will do. There's just two answers. Either it's a yes or a no. We come to your boss, between me and my boss. If the discussion is 5 minutes, it's not happening. When any decision, if the discussion is more than 5 minutes, means something is wrong. But we Indians are maybe. 12 महीने है ना, कुछ कर लेंगे, don't worry. But how do you become yes, no? It simplifies everything. I always give everybody a homework. उस दिन का stock price या उस दिन का NAV आप लिख के रखो. And after 2 years, go and visit that. After 3 years, visit that. Then you will realize not having sold that is the right theory. Everybody learns. I mean, when I started my career, I was this brash market timer. हम लोग को लग रहा था कि म्यूचुअल फंड में काम करते हैं तो सब कुछ जानते हैं. फिर धीरे धीरे पता चला कि बाजार सब जानता है, हम कुछ नहीं जानते.
Alright, so welcome to yet another show of Finomatic Talk Show. If you look at the markets today, there's a strange contradiction. On one side, geopolitics feel more unstable than ever. I mean, you have wars, trade, tensions, currency debates. And on the other side, markets continue to function. I mean, prices move, capital flows, and investors still have to make decisions every single day. So the real question is not just what will markets do next, but the real question, my dear friends, is how should investors think clearly when the world feels so noisy? In today's conversation, we're going to cover 3 broad things. First, how global power is shifting. I mean, US, China, Venezuela, energy politics, currency. Actually, these matters to the investors just beyond the headlines. Second, how to think about portfolios in the current environment. I mean, gold, US equities, the newer investment opportunities like the long and shorts and the SIFs of the world, without chasing trends or getting too emotional about it. And finally, something I personally believe matters the most, which is the human side of investing: patience, discipline, asset allocation, and the behavioral mistakes that repeat every single cycle. So, if you are an investor, a distributor, a wealth manager, or simply someone trying to make better sense of long-term use of money, then this is a conversation worth listening to till the end. To help us make sense of all of this, I am honored to be joined by none other than Mr. Swarup Anand Mohanty. Swarup sir is the Vice Chairman and CEO of Mirae Asset Investment Managers India, and he has over 3 decades of experience across financial services and asset management. I mean, he's seen it all. Since joining Mirae in 2011, he has led the Indian business through multiple market cycles. I mean, there have been periods of exceptional outperformance, phases of underperformance, and the discipline that is required to stay true to the process. He's an alumni of the Stanford Executive Program. He actively contributes to key industry bodies, including SEBI and the Ministry of Finance, and is also known for bringing global perspectives with a deep understanding of the Indian investor psyche. Beyond the titles, Swarup sir is someone who has risen from the ground up, starting his journey in sales at a very lower position, especially from my side of the country, that is Eastern India. He has lived it all. That he has lived that experience, which reflects strongly in how he thinks about markets, investors, and the long-term wealth creation. So it's a pleasure to welcome Swarup sir. So welcome to the show, sir. It's a pleasure to host you today back in Kolkata. Abhi, sir, I've got so many things to ask you, but let's start with the hot topic first, and which is Trump. I mean, क्या हो रहा है सर दुनिया में? I mean, you can just go and abduct a president with his wife in the midnight and then say that you will run the country. I mean, where is democracy gone? I mean, अभी बोलता है कि सर ग्रीनलैंड वो भी हम ही कंट्रोल करेंगे. So is it just power flexing or is it more strategic? I mean, crude, rare earth. Where are we heading? I mean, what to do?
See, this is my personal opinion because when you look at civilization and growth of civilization, there is an era, right? If you see earlier, you go back to the erstwhile kings, they had a certain behavior. To conquer the earth, they wanted more land. So acquiring land became a big issue. Then that's how kingdoms expanded. If you see, then slowly, the kings changed to oil, and the Middle East became probably the most powerful people. If oil were available then across the world, then they would have gone out and acquired those places also. But then came a very interesting change, the birth of the capital markets. And that's when this asset class, which people would aspire for, turned to equity. So if you see the next kings, were practically these large corporate owners who then converted their wealth into the capital markets, or what you call market capitalization. So equity became the thing to hold. But we are, make no mistake, in the midst of history. Okay, there's a definite change as to what is happening. And when you look at the leaders of the world, what used to be working towards a cohesive world is getting polarized. And more often than not, and correct me if I am wrong, the leadership style becomes the style of the country. Yeah, it is reflecting, right? And when you look at the largest economy of the world changing its behavior, make no mistake, the next 10, 20 years, the rest of the world will also change its behavior. It is true that what I like about the change of behavior of US, it is backed by some very good self-realization. They know that unemployment is on the rise. They know that they are no longer the singular dominant player in the world. So they would like to get back their dominance. And people demonstrate in certain way. This regime is demonstrating it in the ways you have said, right or wrong. I'm too small a man to comment. But yes, I mean, when you reflect on some of the actions, you have to start watching it on a daily basis. कि आगे क्या होगा? कल क्या होगा actually? It's become so uncertain, right? And some of the moves are pretty stellar, I must say. But yes, at the back end, probably it is search of this asset. Could be oil. It could also be controlling gold supply to the world, which would then impact the dollar. I suspect there is some method to this madness. They have a big picture in mind. So we should wait for the big picture to unfold. But it will be unwise to say that this will end tomorrow.
Right. But when this actually happened, I was waiting for the response from the Russia-China bloc. I mean, ultimately, the Venezuelan president is saying so much because he feels that he can stay out of the US grip, and Russia and China would back him. But nothing has shown up as of now. I don't know what will happen by the time this podcast goes live.
No, interesting, but the behavior or the way all these leaders behave is very different. I mean, you look at post tariffs, the way China has behaved is very mature, I would say.
Yeah.
It's gone about exporting its goods to different people now, increasing its trade on its own currency more than it used to on the dollar side. It is beginning to showcase its own dominance in the world. And how allegiance will happen between these three countries versus other countries will be something which will be interesting to see. But I don't expect either Russia or China to be as visible and vocal as the US government is, because that's not their style.
I just hope that the Greenland issue does not flare up much, because then you have US versus the NATO.
Yeah.
I mean, what would happen in that case?
Very small. Again, I repeat, I'm too small a man to comment all this, but I'm a very keen observer and I'm just watching the change in the world right now. And then when I was a student, somebody had told me that my professor had told me he change is the only constant. But then he had added, there is a possibility that the word change might change. Right. Right. It is that time now. I mean, it's probably time to now forget how people used to behave, countries used to behave till 2025. And I firmly believe 2026 is the reboot. From here on, how we will see the world unfolding. See, simple thing. I mean, in 2008, the great Warren Buffett had summarized everything for me. कि the world trades in the. तो मैंने सोचा था जब तक डॉलर है सब कुछ ठीक है. But अभी when global sovereign reserves go ahead of dollars, of course they have to do something to get dollar back, right?
Yeah.
So that's the story.
I mean, which is where, sir, whenever the BRICS idea comes up, every time the BRICS leaders meet, I mean, the only cry that you hear on the newspapers is de-dollarization.
Yeah.
And every time somebody tries to move away from dollar, then the US has its way.
They will do that stuff, right? I mean, we say Mera Bharat Mahan. They will say make America great. It's nothing wrong. They should look out for themselves, right? And I don't think de-dollarization is a concept at all. It'll take too much time, and because there's no other currency which trades at this level. We are seeing green shoots now with the Chinese currency, but I don't see any other currency personally, if you ask me.
Right. So, moving on to the geopolitics, sir. All of this is shaping the investment world as well. I mean, till 2 years back, while each and every one of us were just talking about Indian equities and the small cap story.
But
I mean, the only thing that I've been hearing for last 6 months is gold, silver, and now copper. Right. I mean, so I mean, the gold and silver has been on a tear, right? And so, what is the real driver behind the gold move? I mean, is it the fear that people have regarding the uncertainty in the world? Or is it what we were hearing a year back, that the central banks are buying gold and hence gold is moving up? Or is it that the currency moves the way it is moving, or the way you said it, that it's going to become the sovereign wealth, and that is how it becomes the real currency of the world? So, what is your stance on gold and silver? Should somebody continue accumulating it? What is the way ahead, sir?
see, gold is a very interesting story when it comes to India. And I always am fascinated with gold and the behavior Indians have towards gold from the beginning of my career. I've been following gold from my childhood. Someday maybe we'll do a different podcast on how societies behave and behavior of societies are defined on gold in India.
Okay.
Right. So very simple thing is, I discussed that today in the morning with you also, that when you look at gold, it's a commodity, it's driven by demand and supply. But a very learned financial advisor, maybe your Purvaj, taught us that it is a precious metal.
Yeah.
Actually, gold has no industrial use. Silver has, right? Technically speaking, if I say this, people will shout at me, but gold is a useless metal. There's no use. But that person has said that it's a precious metal. And we have accepted it. And then that person has said you have to accumulate it. And has given one SIP date yearly, which is Dhanteras, Akshay Tritiya. Now, please think about it. It is demand supply. That day, the demand is the highest. Hence, the price would invariably be higher. Do we care? We don't. We've been told, we go and buy. I tell people, कि अगले महीने ले लो. Thoda, let it ease out. And I'm reflecting on that behavior, right? While I'm saying this, you please reflect on the behavior of that same individual when we discuss equity with that person versus his or her behavior with gold. It's not defined, it's just gone and bought, right? It's that SIP date is not for a year, not for two, it is generational.
Yeah.
The grandmother used to buy, the mother is buying, the wife is buying. Hopefully, the son should not buy or the daughter should not buy. And because they have had this ability of holding this asset over generations, that has become a safety heaven for people. And then the beauty. There is this thing that you can't sell gold.
Every gold is not sold.
It's not sold.
Yeah.
Invariably, people will tell you, तेरे ये दिन आ गए तो सोना बेच रहा है क्या कर रहा है यार आप सोना बेच नहीं सकते हो so when you look at the psychology that is the prudent psychology for any investment philosophy that you buy a good asset over a period of time and you hold it and then it unfolds. Otherwise, if you see correlation of equity and gold, the downturn is the same. Maybe gold downturn is higher than equity. But since
For sure.
yeah, silver for sure. No? But now here's my thing. It was known to Indians. But the trigger happens when sovereigns go to it in adversity. Yes, people across the world see these times as uncertain times. So there is the general tendency to go to gold. What surprised me was the general tendency was to go to the dollar. And when sovereigns are shifting to gold, there's a message that you cannot deny. Right? So what used to be a process of buying, which was very core to hardcore Indians, I feel, now is being reflected by sovereign. Now time will tell whether they'll continue doing it for how many years. At least I see that happening for 2026. Till the time you see this adverse comments from the US coming every now and then, this is the safety haven as told to us recently, and it's making a distinct mark on the behavior of commodities globally. Hence, people have started asking about copper and all. But here's my thing. From an Indian investor, what we've learned from that is a superior way of accumulating an asset. Please don't destroy it by getting in the return component. Continue that behavior. That learning of that behavior is more important. And that's what has led to wealth creation. So that one should keep intact. I suspect now when we financial guys come into it, we'll destroy it. That's my biggest worry.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. All right. So, just the way, gold has given stellar returns of late. The US equity is also on a tear. People keep saying that the biggest five companies, the FANG stocks, as we say it, are literally ruling the world.
Yes.
Each of these stocks market capitalization is almost similar to what the Indian market capitalization.
One stock is bigger than us, man.
Yes, that is what is happening now. So, my question is that do we even talk about valuations over there? Or can we just submit to the fact that, look, it's going to become part of everyday's life and hence everyone is supposed to accumulate it and hence just go mad about US equity? What is your stance on the US market?
It's a thought process. It's not US. I think when you look at the broad message that's going out, the last 2-3 years has been AI, non-AI.
Yeah.
It's just AI which is ruling. The power of AI should percolate into everyday's life. And I just read some report where I'm told that the Indian AI user is far higher than actually the average user in the US also. That's because of the youth of the country. If AI were to percolate even deeper, then this story will continue. Some people talk about bubbles of the amount invested. Time will tell. I'm nobody to comment on that because the kind of money that has gone into creating that backend is never done before. Those used to be monies put into manufacturing organizations, right? The quantum of money as a percentage. Then when tech companies started, the great Warren Buffett had said that he doesn't understand good being transferred from one satellite to the other. So he doesn't invest. But he was wrong. If the great Warren Buffett can be wrong, anybody can be wrong, right? And here's the birth of AI. So I don't think it's slowing down in the near future. But at one point of time, others might also look attractive. There will be nothing which will be taken away from this. Actually, it's a learning. When we launched the FANG Plus, I was very scared because, my erstwhile baggage of investing said that things should be diversified. It's a 10 stock equal weighted portfolio. And I was saying that this is probably the riskiest portfolio I've ever, sold or represented. But at one point of time, Fine Plus was, and it went up to a premium of 20-22% because global investing is stopped in India.
Yeah.
And we wrote out a message saying that it's trading at premium, don't buy. The reply from the young Indian said, okay, inform us that it's trading at premium. Who are you to tell us not to buy? And that's when I got the message, right? That there are enough people who have knowledge of this part. And it is this supply of money which is driving it more than valuations. Until supply is there, this will continue. Will it stop tomorrow? I don't see it stopping tomorrow.
Right, sir. Okay. Come in my next question, sir. And this is about the emergence of the new asset category in the name of SIF. Now, this is something which is very new. I mean, I'm sure the audience would not have heard much about the long short strategies. I mean, what is SEBI trying to achieve by bringing something which is right in between an MF and an AIF? So, I mean, consider us to be somebody who do not know a thing about SIF, and I want to learn from you what are SIFs and how to go about it.
So first of all, I'm happy you got in the regulator into this because you have to understand that this is regulator propagated. And we as an industry are extremely fortunate that SEBI thinks that mutual fund is the right domain to launch this product. It could have gone to anybody else, but they chose mutual funds. Just is a testament of their faith on our industry.
Yeah.
Now, the other part is very simple. At the end of the day, the mutual fund portfolios have primarily been fully invested in one asset class. It takes across on one asset class. This is a mix of equity and derivatives. Please let me make one thing very clear. Mutual funds have not demonstrated derivative expertise till now.
Yes.
And that is a big responsibility being given by the regulator to us. Hence, probably this cap of 25% of derivatives that you have. It's step. I think it is graded, and over a period of time, there's that's a lot can be done there. But to begin with, I think it's a beautiful thing to start. Here's the thing from an asset manager perspective, and think about it. When you look at active investing, it is under the umbrella of categorization of funds. Our funds have been divided into various categories, and those category portfolios are practically also defined. What SIF does is gives us this ability to express our fund management capability in its truest sense. Now, the other thing that every fund manager will express themselves differently. So, the beauty of SIFs at a fundamental place is all fund houses can be very different. Unlike, say, a large cap, which broadly has a similar portfolio construct, here portfolios can be completely different to each other. And that's the best part. That as a fund management team, we can express the portfolio the way we totally want. That's only the long side of the story. It also gives us the ability to give a hedge against the whole thing and sit on the opposite side to mitigate the risk. Now, the word is mitigate risk, but it can go the other way also.
In Accenture, there is
Right. So, risk is both ways. So, for investors at the beginning, and this is my humble request, is that when we look at the initial stage of the SIFs, it's better to understand the risk profile of the product. I mean, when you start investing, you think it is a return generation process. As you mature, you realize that it's a risk mitigation. And the closer the risk profile of the investment tool is to your risk profile, the better the investment journey. So, at the birth of this, I would firmly request that people understand the dual side of derivatives, right? And then that's where your role comes in. Is also check the fund manager's capability of managing derivatives. If put together, it is a very powerful product. And please understand, since PMS or an AIF kind of product comes on the mutual fund side, the second best thing that could have happened is the taxation.
Yeah.
It is mutual fund taxation. And the third best thing that could have happened is the ease of transaction. It's a mutual fund form, right? So when you combine the three, it is a very, very powerful proposition from our side. But it's the beginning where from our side, we'll create the back end to handle derivatives. So if you see the industry is not in a hurry, which shows the maturity of the industry. See, when do you launch a fund? You launch a fund when you are ready to manage the fund. If you just digressing from the topic, when the entire market was selling small caps, we didn't have a small cap fund because we didn't have a small cap manager. And when we launched it, people were asking, "Arey, sab khatam ho gaya, aap kyun launch kar rahe ho?" But we launched it when we have the capability of managing. So, though we have a long short equity approval, we're creating some backend and we'll really launch on it when time comes. But I'm happy to see that the industry is also taking it one step at a time because you have to do justice to the faith put on us by the regulator.
Yes, sir. So, if you can help me understand the long short strategy, sir, as to how returns are made. I mean, what I kind of blankly understand is that a fund manager would have a long portfolio, is similar to what he used to have in the MF side. But at times, if he feels, he can short the market as well with the options of either futures or maybe put options or selling call options. So, if you can help us understand, help the audience understand.
I mean, in simple language, I mean, let me not get too technical, is that a long only portfolio, जिसको हम कहते हैं, is one single view of the fund manager. The fund manager cannot sit on both sides of the market. Here, the beauty of the product is I can take a long side and contradict or balance the risk by taking just the opposite side on the derivatives. And when you mitigate both, it is said that, and time will prove that, and it's a little skill of the fund manager that comes in, that when you combine the two, the risk mitigation can be superior. But again, I repeat, the skill of the manager to combine the two is something which the manager has to demonstrate.
So, if I were to ask you that who should not go for this product?
See, a person who's starting should not. It's a evolved product. It is for people, for both fund houses as well as investors who've demonstrated this journey, understand the vulnerability or the volatility of a product, understand the nature of the asset class, now are ready to upgrade to a newer product. I use the word upgrade intentionally because it's slightly evolved to the normal long portfolio. So it's not for newcomers. It's for people who have handled this asset class for a long time, want to evolve to a superior or a different, not superior is not the word, to a differentiated offering in their portfolio. Yes, it's an asset allocation product. The advantage of this product is the minimum size is 10 lakhs. So it's practically open to many, but graduate to the product. And again, if you take a journey in this product, there's always time to increase your allocation. But first step, understand the product, understand the manager. No two managers will be the same.
But I can very well say that the philosophy remains the same, that just like mutual fund is a long-term product, similarly, a long-term investor should come to it.
Absolutely long term. See, when you look at equities as asset class, I don't think barring your liquid investment, anything should be short term.
Yeah.
It should marry your objective of investing. It should never be as per the market, right? You invest for a need, and that need will then define whether you have the money for the need or not. Once you put the need, sometimes no wrong in dreaming, but sometimes the dreams are beyond our means also. But once you put the dream, you actually know whether it's a rightful dream or not. So the right investor marries the both. Oh, and it's fit for a longer term investor than currently the long term investor of equity.
All right. Got it, sir. Okay. So, coming to the aspect on your personal side, sir, because I have seen that there's a huge fan following of yours in my part of the city.
Correct.
Right? People look up to you, and perhaps the reason behind it is that you actually wrote from the ground. You were somebody who was working right with the NFDs at a very starting level, and then you ended up becoming national head and then a CEO and now a vice chairman. I mean, I've been told that there are only 7 vice chairmen in Mirae, which is like a $650 billion asset manager, and you are the first Indian to become a vice chairman there. So, I mean, what was that moment when you realized that this can happen? I mean,
It's very surreal, to be very honest, because one is them trusting you. In our business, a business of trust, right? It has never been done, not only in Vili Asset. It's never been done in Korea. That this title is given to a non-Korean.
Yeah.
So extremely honored. More, I think, humbled. The fact that I considered to be that enough, and now let's see if I can rise to that entire trust. It is a different ball game, but yes, very good feeling, and I'm really fortunate to have been chosen. That's something which a very different moment in your life, and I think we didn't know the enormity of the whole thing till my Korean company colleagues came home and told my wife that where was the party, and we said, what party? They said he's the only one, and then we understood the whole enormity of the whole thing. I mean, when I got a message from our ambassador from Korea, congratulations, then I understood the enormity of it. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, nothing changes at the work front. Yeah. Can you do it better and continue owning the trust of your investors is something which one aspire to, and I mean, that's the only thing that I keep.
But I want to know, sir, what differentiates you? Because everybody start from scratch, but there are only few who actually rise to the top, and you are a living example of it. So, what differentiates you?
I don't think anybody can define that. Okay, people have to do their job. And the only thing that probably I thought at the beginning of my life was, I definitely know I'm not the smartest person on earth, but I can guarantee anybody I can work harder than anybody in this market. But that's your controllable. So if you can work hard, and if that becomes a thing for your colleagues, it is pretty infectious. Within my team, and now I'm almost double the age of my team members. If they can do 5 calls, I can do 7, is what I tell them. If they maintain a relationship for 5 years, I can maintain it for 30 years, is what I tell them. But it's a business of trust. I can fool you once. If I fool you the second time, it's not my fault. But people don't give you a second time in our industry. Yes. Because it's money. And nobody forgives you on money. That's a thin line. And if you can maintain that, it's very difficult to maintain. And if I can maintain that towards the end till I retire, I will definitely consider myself fortunate.
Right. Fair enough, sir. Uh, you're very humble. I can say that. You're very humble. Right. But I mean, I want to learn about the Korean culture. I mean, Korea is speaking at my home just in the context of K-dramas. My daughter loves that.
Yeah.
But you see the real
Yes.
Korean culture, and you've
Korean.
seen,
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
half Korean now, and you've seen and you know the Indian culture. So how is it different, and what can we learn from them, and what is better in our culture?
It is incredible how similar we are. I'm talking about how similar families are. How we respect, the respect for the old is the same. At the end of the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, in most of the Indian families, the dad comes and sits on the head table,
Yeah.
right? That happens there. Invariably, the best food is given there, that happens there. The rest of the family waits till he finishes. You can't get up before they finish. It happens there. And once the dad decides, it's decided. It's a form of family which was there in the past. It's a little disintegrating, which is happening there. But the difference between the two communities is at a working level is very different. They are yes, no, absolute clarity on what they will do. There's just two answers. Either it's a yes or a no. We come to your boss, between me and my boss. If the discussion is 5 minutes, it's not happening. When any decision, if the discussion is more than 5 minutes, means something is wrong. But we Indians are maybe. अभी 12 महीने है ना कुछ कर लेंगे, don't worry. But how do you become yes, no? It simplifies everything. Then I came to this very interesting grid from this great financial writer called Carl Richards. Yeah. And he made two circles, things that matter, things you can control. And he said in the beach, he said that's what you could, because there'll be a lot of things that will matter to you, which you cannot control. There'll be a lot of things that you control which don't matter to you. So once you come to that grid, that's when you can take a decision immediately. मैं कर पाऊंगा क्या नहीं कर पाऊंगा तो सोच के क्या फायदा. That's how, and they are extremely yes no on that. That's why they are so ruthless in their execution. See, 1965, that country was driven to the ground due to war. In 2025, last year was their big market, and then semiconductors is their story. So they are way ahead on the AI story than us, and they benefit from that. It's incredible to see how hard they work. इंडिया में डिबेट होता है ना 80-90 hours. They work. And if I think I work hard, they will beat me hollow at hard work. And this is for when we win both. Right? So what I learned from them is absolute discipline. If somebody says 9 o'clock मिलना है तो 8:50 तक maximum. And ruthlessness in execution. In Mirae Asset, we discuss strategy between 15th and 25th of December for next year. Post Christmas, it is execution till 15th of December. If some things are not missed out, then we'll address that next year. But next year is only execution. That's what I learned from them. And politeness is something we learned from them. Extremely polite people. If I sit here with my seniors, and especially my owner, Chairman Mr. Park, you'll probably feel I'm the senior person. And the way they treat you is just incredible. It's a very different country and extremely simple people.
So, do they have work-life balance, and how have you implemented that in your organization?
I think I'm better than them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where we are better than them, I feel. Because at Mirae Asset, we come at 9, we leave at 6. But 9 to 6, we work very hard. I think that's where when you want to progress as a country, and from 1965 to 2025, what they've built, they couldn't have built with 9 to 6. And you look at China, today children in China go to school at 8:30 and come back at 10:30 in the night because they have different aspirations. Work-life balance is very key if your aspirations are something. But if you have aspirations which they had, then it's 24/7. And they've demonstrated. Right or wrong, I'm not commenting.
Yeah.
But when you look at absolute work, I think we are better than them. It's the choice, but their choice is that.
All right. So, a lot to learn from them and not to learn from you, sir. Uh, but I've seen your other public appearances and your podcasts, and what I found was that you are an excellent storyteller. And story is something that fascinates me, and stories that fascinates everybody, right? So, now what I would really request you, sir, is that I want you to give very straight answers to questions, but in the story format. So, I mean, my first question to you is that why should people save? I mean, the today's generation does not believe in saving. What would be your advice when it comes to saving? And again, I want the answer in the form of story.
Okay, I mean, when I was young, I was not a very good student. I'm born to two professors. And being a child of a professor is a very tough job because what you do is not noticed. What you can't do is very much laid down. But very early, because I was not a very good student, my parents would always tell me, कि हमारा क्या है? हमारा तो pension है. Our retirement is taken care of. And they drilled it into me that the most important thing in their lives is that retirement money, and what's their safety haven. So probably that is what shifted me towards money and finance. And today I am a paranoid retirement person. Between me and my son will outgrow me a number of years. Please understand our earning age will probably live for, earlier we used to work for 30 years to live for 30 years more. Now we'll work for 30 years and the young today are aspiring to retire early. All the best. But 30 years of work life to live with passive income for 40 years. You need a lot of money. And with the lifestyle inflation growing, you probably need a lot more money than I needed.
Yes.
And if you don't invest, it's your problem. It's nobody else's problem. At that point of time, at that age, your only friend is money, whether you like it or not. So sooner you start investing, better for you. The only selfish thing you can do for yourself is start investing early.
Right. Okay. So the idea is clear that one needs to save and one needs to start to invest, but invest where? I mean, you have deposits, you have equities, you have mutual funds. How do you convince people to invest into equities or mutual funds?
See, that's the beauty. Once you make the product the hero, you become wayward. Your investment is your life, and everybody's life is different. Hence, the concept is personal finance. Yeah, everybody's personal life is different. So everybody before investing have to ask themselves, what do they want out of investing? And everybody's why is different. Till you don't know your why, where to invest can never happen, right? So first define your why. Come to you. If the investor comes with you कि मेरे को इसलिए पैसा चाहिए, defining a portfolio is very easy. नहीं तो you do return chasing. अरे उसका मेरे से रिटर्न ज़्यादा हो गया, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता उसका ज़्यादा होने से, राइट? आपको क्या? Every time a portfolio should reflect your life and what you want from your life. The beauty is life will change. And if you know the change, you can change your portfolio too. If you don't know that, then it's mindless investing. Don't do that. Keep the money in the bank.
Okay. All right. So if I'm clear about my why, then perhaps my product selection would be
Yes.
better.
I mean, see, just to define, and I say that because I mean it, is that in anybody's personal financial life, the star is the goal, right? And the person who takes that individual investor to the star is the rock star,
Yeah.
right? It's like you have an ailment, you go to a doctor. The doctor who saves you is the rock star. But here, I think money is more important than your health in today's life. So if you have a good rock star behind you, more than the portfolio, the person is a guide, a financial guide to take you to that star. And once you meet that goal, then you are free. Please that day take out the money and just go about and achieving your goal. Don't look for tomorrow. Just do it that day. It is possible if you have a good guide, you can start hitting those goals earlier. Right? So you can have more goals in your life. So once you don't share that with your advisor or distributor, actually the path then becomes meaningless. Bring purpose to your investing by finding yourself and explaining and being transparent. Don't be shy. कि मेरे को मून जाने का है, जा सकते हो, टुडे इट्स अवेलेबल, राइट? देन द पर्सन विल टेल यू इतना पैसा लगेगा. If today if going to the moon is possible, all goals can be attained. And how to do it? Somebody can guide you.
So you rightly talked about the importance of a guide or an advisor, but somehow I feel that the importance of advisor today is very understated. I mean, today's generation is more of a YouTube generation who believe that they can do it all by themselves. So what's your view on that, sir?
I personally believe they will change faster than my generation did. See, I'll tell you the reason. If you look at the three generations, and I talk about it often, look at my father. My father's generation came for a very insecure India.
Yeah.
Right. So they would probably have worked one job for 25, 30 years. And I can assure you my job is better than my father's job. But he has more gratitude for his job than I have for my job. They were that insecure lot. So their investing was into saving that security. So more safety oriented. But I wanted a better life. So I moved to the capital markets. Right. But when you look at my son, who is also investing, my son is what, 26, 27 now. And last time in one podcast, I said a wrong age, so he's really shouting at me. But look at his life and broadly that generation's life. Their insecurity is taken care by the grandfather's era. Their finance is taken care of by the father or the mother's era. Right? They are free people. Their knowledge is superior to us to put together. And their ability to be economically better is superior than us. They will trust more. They will experiment more. They will be more open to products which you say than we did. Hence, I feel once they are shown this path, कि तू अपना life lead कर बाकी मैं कर लेता हूँ ना, they will trust more. So I feel the transition of them towards a professional advisor to be far quicker and penetration at a higher level than my generation is my opinion. I'm tracking it, but I think I'm right on this one.
It's just need to be more visible in front of them.
Yes, I mean the visibility is changed. I mean, if you ask me, we were discussing this. I think before COVID, somebody had said this is the way to communicate. For me, the earphone meant music. I never knew people actually listen to a podcast.
Yeah, correct. Right. So one more thing, sir. पिछले 1 साल में अगर किसी को कुछ सिखाया है तो वो है द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ एसेट एलोकेशन. I mean, there was a time when people were just thronging the Indian equities and especially the small caps. And now the only concept I'm receiving is about gold, silver, foreign equity.
Right.
So, and you have seen so many cycles, right? So, if you can talk about the importance of asset allocation,
This is something which thankfully I learned very early is that, 95% of your money comes from prudent asset allocation, and only 5% of your money is moved through market movements. But correct me if I'm wrong, 95% of discussions happen on market movement, and only 5% happens on asset allocation.
Correct.
To be fair to my generation, and bulk of our time was before internet, this knowledge was in some library somewhere or with a few people.
Yeah.
Now with the decimation of knowledge, and suddenly, till returns don't spring up, people don't get excited. People got excited in small cap because they saw.
Returns.
Right. And now small cap investing is a reality. In 2016, when we closed our mid cap fund, mid cap investing was considered risk. Right. Today, mid and small are viewed very differently from, and 2016 not long ago. Now, the beauty of gold and silver has now shown a good inquisitiveness from people. Hence, when you look at portfolios going forward, it will be debt, equity, and commodities together. It's a far better. It's a very interesting. When you look at the multi-asset strategies globally, the multi-asset strategy has the ability to give superior median return over 10-15 years time, not 1 year, 10, than a single asset. If you go to Europe, nearly 80% of retirement money goes into multi-asset structures, not in single asset structures. And this the spring of gold and silver is, I think, giving birth to multi-asset investing at the right time, because India, the young need to invest, right? The aspirations of young are of a different level, and to fulfill them, they need to invest, and it's the best thing that could have happened, according to me.
And it is very much visible in the flows also, sir.
True.
A lot of money is going to the multi-assets.
Money, let's look at it. You are looking at money going, say, last year. बट उससे पहले इतना पैसा स्मॉल कैप गया है, उससे पहले बहुत पैसा मिड कैप गया था, तो ओवरऑल द पोर्टफोलियो इज गेटिंग बैलेंस्ड.
Now it's getting.
राइट, इट्स गेटिंग बैलेंस्ड.
Okay. So देखो एक इक्विटी इन्वेस्टर और रादर एनी फर्स्ट टाइम इन्वेस्टर who has always invested into products which has kind of given you simple returns like an FD or an LIC policy or a post office. हम उनको कहते हैं कि यार म्यूचुअल फंड करो और उसमें 10-12% का रिटर्न बन सकता है. That they are still able to digest. But what I really see is that people are not able to comprehend the power of compounding. So how do you explain power of compounding to a ordinary person?
So I'll bring back that gold analogy.
Right.
Gold has compounded because you've held gold and let it compound. That is true for real estate also. At the end of the day, कैलकाटा में सब लोग बोलेंगे 10 लाख में खरीदा था, F-9 उसका 60 लाख हो गया. People will not tell you it's 30 years. Right? The moment I bring 30 years, they will also say, नहीं ऐसे थोड़ा ना होता है, 60 लाख हुआ है. But when you break that 30 years, the returns would be as good or as bad as equity. Okay. People think rental income बहुत अच्छा है. Rental income 2-3% है. But perception towards rental income is like an SWP. Now, when you move to financial assets, it needs to be relearned again. Korea is 96% financial asset penetration because they started early. But when you look at, say, 2023 versus 2024, 2024 versus 25, the story is also only growing. And slowly but surely, people will start holding this asset longer. When you hold it longer, compounding average, the best thing that could have happened. I'll give a very simple example. In one of my funds in 2011, and I had invested, say, 1 lakh today is 15 lakhs.
Yeah.
Right? That fund was underperforming last 2 years. And people were saying, yaar, ये underperform कर रहा है, तो इसमें क्यों है? But आप सोचो, I did the tough job of holding it for 14 years, where my 1 lakh became 15 lakhs. Now, if that fund underperforms and gives me 10%, I get 1.5 lakhs a month. Right? That is the power of compounding. Now, मेरे को 1.5 लाख चाहिए या परफॉर्मेंस चाहिए, आप डिसाइड करो. मुझे तो 1.5 लाख चाहिए. And suddenly it becomes easy to earn 1.5 lakh because you've done the hard work of that money growing to a certain level. People see, you make money when you don't redeem.
Yeah.
Think about it. In a country which is now doubling in the next 8-10 years at an economy level, your GDP is doubling. People who sit in this economy or sit in this market is the best way of, probably one of the best way of getting this growth of the company to this country to your personal life through the capital markets. But the person who sits will enjoy this.
But then they say that only two people make money in this market, like one who have forgotten or the one who are dead.
Yeah.
And which is where when the markets do not give you returns for last 1.5 years, people get impatient. And how do you address impatience of investors?
See, in the market, there are two type of people, right? There's a buyer, there's a seller. The buyer wants the market to go down. The seller wants the market to go up. You decide who you are. If you are a seller for a need, be a seller. If you are a seller for the market or market condition, my humble request is it's your money. You are taking it out. I always give everybody a homework. उस दिन का stock price या उस दिन का NAV आप लिख के रखो. And after 2 years, go and visit that. After 3 years, visit that. Then you will realize not having sold that is the right thing. Everybody learns. I mean, when I started my career, I was this brash market timer. हम लोग को लग रहा था कि म्यूचुअल फंड में काम करते हैं तो सब कुछ जानते हैं. फिर धीरे धीरे पता चला कि बाजार सब जानता है, हम कुछ नहीं जानते. इसलिए बाजार में छोड़ दो. It will be it takes some time. This graduation from return generation to risk mitigation is a time process, and people who look at investing seriously will graduate quicker. But there's no shortcut. I don't have a shortcut answer to that.
But you've seen 30 years of markets, you've seen 30 years of investor behavior from many lenses. Do you think the Indian investor is now maturing?
I think it's beginning. And last, I had not thought, if you see my Twitter profile, it says I'm a sad equity seller. It's primarily for this reason. कि 30 साल में हम लोग कुछ बोल रहे थे, कोई सुनता भी नहीं था. Then that means we're not good professionals. My communication definitely lacks a lot of things because people are making money. Market is making money. Everybody should have made money, no? First, I think people have started owning Indian markets, which I had not thought would have happened before my retirement. That's why the sad equity seller. It's a growth asset class. In a country, again, for the sake of repetition, in a country which will double its economy, for a fund manager to find you 60, 70 good stories is not a very tough ask. But for the fund manager also, the challenge is to sit on the 60, 70 stories. If they sit, the compounding will happen. You have to check whether the fund manager is sitting on. That's your job. But when you look at that entire process in the last 4 or 5 years, the best thing that could have happened is definitely the SIP way of investing is sinking into people. And then that's probably the birth of understanding the vagaries of the market, the volatility of the market. ऊपर भी लेंगे, नीचे भी लेंगे, फिर पता चला गया कि एवरेज भी बन के अच्छा पैसा बनता है. एंड को जो बैठ गया, कमा लेगा.
Right. So, which is where, sir, I was last week, I had gone to Thailand, and my daughter, she is now become a certified scuba diver, open water scuba diver at the junior level, and she aspires to be
At what age?
diving. She's 11, right?
Imagine this. Wow, fantastic.
So I could relate a lot of things with how the scuba world operates and how we work in finance. And what I could really kind of understand was that while you really want to go deep and see the fishes, but it is not so easy to get 6 meters, 8 meters, 12 meters in the water at one go.
Yes.
They would first acclimatize you to the water. They will take you down 3 meters, again up, again down, again up. And by the time 10 minutes are gone, now your ears are able to bear the pressure. That is where they take you down. Which is where, either the investor has to start with easier products like a multi-asset is what you were saying, just to get acclimatized to the water, to the world of our markets. And then once you understand it, then go to the deep. And the longer you stay, the more fun ride it would be.
You put it so well. I was just reflecting कि यार यही रास्ता है. Start, understand the water. Once you understand the water, थोड़ा दूर जाओ. And as you go deeper, the fishes change.
Yeah.
The sight changes.
Yes.
And the entire biology changes, right? And that's the beauty. The deeper you go, the more you see. But coming back to our analogy of pure equity funds with the SIF, once you get deeper, then you go to SIF, right? Because it's a very different world. and you graduate as an investor. It's very well put. I'll use this. Very well put.
But it was fantastic talking to you. I mean, we reflected on so many things, right? From how the global world order is changing or getting redefined, to your take on gold, foreign equity, SIFs, to the personal side of your story, how you have really grown through the ranks, and the impact of Korean culture, and how we look at everyday things like the savings or investments. It's a pleasure talking to you, sir, and I really wish that I can invite you again someday in future. If you can take out time from your busy schedule, and if you can do more podcast on investor behavior, it would be my pleasure, sir.
No, I was reflecting on this entire discussion as you spoke. I mean, see what is happening when I look at somebody your age talking of this kind of wisdom is what I see the investment change in the country. And the more young people like you come forward, the entire ecosystem will change because India is about 60% of world population under 30 in this country. Think about it. That's crazy, no? Yeah. If they want, they can change the world. USB dam. Let me tell you. Because they can't work without our coders, right? But if some of that brain can be influenced by people like you, and they will listen to you, they will not listen to me, right? So please continue this great work. It's just fantastic to be together and hope to do more. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.